A dog collapsed on the ground, convulsing, under a blazing afternoon sun, alone inside a locked backyard. His owners had left town for the weekend. And right outside that fence, a group of animal rescue volunteers could hear him suffering and couldn't get in. That moment changed everything, but it wasn't enough to save Lupin's life. This is a true story, and it happened in a small town in southern Brazil called Flores da Cunha. It's a story that hurts, that makes you angry, but it also shows just how powerful the love of strangers can be in the final days of an animal that suffered far too much. Stay until the end, because there is a lot more to this story than you might expect. The call for help came through a message sent to Upeva, a local animal rescue organization. Someone had spotted a dog convulsing inside a locked yard, completely exposed to the intense afternoon heat. The owners had traveled and left the dogs in the care of someone who checked on them only once a day. Just once. And in that gap between visits, the unthinkable was happening. When the volunteers arrived, the front gate was locked and no one was home to open it. But walking away was never an option. With permission from a neighbor, they made their way through the side of the property, found a gap in the fence, and got inside. What they found on the other side stopped them cold. A dog down on the ground, in the middle of a continuous seizure, fully exposed to the brutal sun. There was also a second dog nearby, older, visibly neglected. The volunteers grabbed both dogs and rushed straight to an emergency vet. The first dog was named Lupin by the rescuers. The diagnosis confirmed their worst fears: severe heat stroke, dangerously high body temperature, ongoing seizures, and a heavy parasite infestation. Here is something important to understand about dogs and heat. Unlike humans, dogs cannot sweat through their skin. They regulate their body temperature primarily through panting and through the pads of their paws. When the heat is extreme and there is no shade, no water, and no ventilation, a dog's body can shut down frighteningly fast. The brain takes damage. Seizures begin. And the window to reverse that kind of damage is very short. For Lupin, that window had already closed long before the volunteers ever arrived. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, right now is the perfect moment. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story like this one. Subscribe and keep following real stories that matter. Lupin showed some signs of hope at first. He started eating again. He began to recognize the touch and voices of the volunteers who visited him during his stay at the clinic. A dog who had never met these women in his life found comfort in their arms. But the neurological damage was too severe. He lay on his side, unable to move, unable to perform even the most basic bodily functions. After more than a week of trying everything possible, the veterinary neurologist made the heartbreaking recommendation: Lupin would not recover. The kindest decision was to let him go. The goodbye message that Upeva shared online moved hundreds of thousands of people. He spent hours suffering alone in the blazing heat with no help and no comfort. He found peace in the arms of people he had never met before. "Every animal we encounter changes us forever," they wrote. They were never the same after Lupin. And neither was anyone who followed his story. The second dog rescued that day is named Bubu. He is an elderly Chow Chow, a breed with a fascinating history worth knowing. Chow Chows are one of the oldest dog breeds in the world, originating in China more than 2,000 years ago. They are known for their thick double coat, which is beautiful but also makes them particularly vulnerable to heat. That dense fur that protects them in cold weather can become a serious danger when proper care is missing. And Bubu had been missing proper care for a long time. He had lost much of his coat due to a flea allergy and had visible spinal problems. That kind of neglect does not happen overnight. Bubu survived and is now in the care of Upeva, which has taken on all the costs of his treatment. His coat is growing back. He receives daily medication for pain and inflammation, and is finally surrounded by the love he always deserved. But his future is still being decided in court, as the original owners are fighting for custody of the animal. The case has been referred to authorities for criminal investigation into animal cruelty. Lupin found kindness at the end of a life that deserved so much more. And Bubu is still healing, still waiting for the fresh start he has earned. If this story moved you, drop a comment below and tell us, what do you think should happen to people who leave animals to suffer like this? Subscribe to the channel and keep following real news and true stories.